So she's
I mean,
a
they
serial
sound reasonable.
fraudster. That's called fraud. She's a Me Too victim there. That's absurd.
Blake Lively is spiraling after Megyn Kelly publicly tore into her dark past in the harshest way imaginable. She and her husband are now being labeled bullies. For years, Blake has steamrolled people, shamed them on national TV, and carried herself like she's Hollywood royalty. But now that Megyn has stepped in without fear and thrown her secrets into the spotlight, Blake's carefully built empire of control is finally starting to fall apart.
Her husband are bullies.
Blake Lively has spent years portraying herself as Hollywood's sweetheart, elegant, graceful, and effortlessly adored. But the truth behind that glowing public image is a rehearsed act. And now, Megyn Kelly has effectively hit the rewind button and is showing the world what's really been going on behind the curtain.
She seems like kind of a jerk. Wow, she's like kind of a bully. She's rather mean.
Long before Blake hijacked It Ends With Us and pulled a full dictator move on Justin Baldoni, she had already been setting the stage for her own relentless power grab. Her controlling tendencies didn't just appear overnight.
Claims he sexual harassed her, and then by the time they premiered the movie, they weren't even speaking to each other. She made him stay in the basement, and Ryan Reynolds turned on him too. And then she claimed that he unleashed a bad PR campaign against her.
Back in her Gossip Girl days, Blake wasn't just playing a role. She was expertly maneuvering through Hollywood's elite like a chess grandmaster, securing the right connections and positioning herself for long-term dominance.
He wrested his movie away from him and decided to try to hurt him with petty, made-up, out-of-context complaints when he pushed back even in the mildest way.
Back in her Gossip Girl days, Blake wasn't just playing a role. She was expertly maneuvering through Hollywood's elite like a chess grandmaster, securing the right connections and positioning herself for long-term dominance.
2009 Glamour UK interview by Blake Lively. She was on the cover at the time, and in her interview, she admitted to trying to poison the cast of Gossip Girl, which is where she made her name.
And here's the kicker. She later admitted Penn was actually a good guy, which means that entire smear campaign wasn't based on anything real. It was just Blake using her influence to center herself and play the puppet master, just because she could.
Against her co-star, Penn Badgley, who played her love interest, Dan Humphrey, on the show. She said, "At first I was so upset that they had hired him, I actually poisoned the whole cast against him."
And that wasn't some random one-time thing. Blake perfected the art of staying clean while others were pushed out of the picture. She played the media game, kept her image polished, and made sure no one noticed the strings she was pulling from, behind the scenes. But now that she's at the center of a legal mess in Hollywood, she's finding out the hard way. No one's coming to save her.
And she goes on to say, but then they noticed that he wasn't a jerk and was actually a nice, charming person, and almost immediately I realized it too. But it took me about a week to admit it.
Not one Gossip Girl co-star has spoken up for her. Leighton Meester, silent. Penn Badgley, nothing. The rest of the cast, acting like she vanished from existence. They all worked with her for 6 years. If anyone wanted to defend her, now's the time. But their silence says more than words ever could. Neither Meester nor Badgley even follow her on Instagram anymore. Blake's fallout with Leighton is telling. On-screen besties, off-screen disaster. Blake was fixated on fame while Leighton cared about the craft.
Reports were that Blake Lively and Leighton Meester, who played best friends on that show, were not friends during the 6-season run of the show. Leighton Meester and Penn Badgley and other Gossip Girl co-stars have remained silent in the wake of the Baldoni legal drama.
By the time the show wrapped, Blake and Leighton weren't even on speaking terms. And now that Blake's facing public legal fallout, Leighton is doing absolutely nothing to help her. It's almost like karma finally caught up. This is exactly what Megyn Kelly exposed. Blake's entire career has been a cycle of calculated manipulation, forming alliances and playing the victim when the control slips away.
Neither Meester nor Badgley follow Lively on Instagram.
Whether it was Penn Badgley, Leighton Meester, or now Justin Baldoni, the pattern remains the same. Blake takes the reins, bends the narrative in her favor, and the moment she loses grip, she transforms into the misunderstood victim. It's a cycle she's repeated over and over.
All I do is buy soccer teams that win, sell tequila that people like, or vodka, or whatever it is, and he's like generally stayed above, and then all of a sudden he is in the dirt with it.
In 2022, Blake Lively stood confidently at the Forbes Power Women Summit. She flashed her signature charm and gave what was meant to be a motivational speech. But in reality, she ended up exposing her entire blueprint for industry manipulation, laying out the exact strategy Justin Baldoni is now suing her over.
Blake Lively is caught in old footage, revealing that yes, her secret plan is to always take control of the movies and lie to the directors.
Back then, no one thought much of her words. But now, with her career under intense scrutiny, that very speech is making a comeback in the worst way possible. It's not just resurfacing. It's becoming the central piece of evidence in the case against her.
Forbes Power Women, and she's so confident. Exactly, I think that's so telling how confident she is to just say, I have no qualms lying to the director, taking control of their movie, pulling the rug from them, like, oh my God!
With a captivated crowd hanging on every word, Blake admitted she faked her way into roles by pretending to be the eager actress directors wanted. Once she landed the part, she'd start rewriting scripts, making executive calls, and subtly removing others from the decision-making process.
What is happening here? I would show up on a set. I knew that they just wanted me to show up and look cute and stand on a little pink sticker where I'm supposed to go and say what I'm supposed to say, but I also knew that that wasn't fulfilling for me.
She even joked about how directors felt betrayed when they realized what she was doing, as if hijacking entire productions was clever instead of deceitful. This wasn't a one-time slip. This was Blake openly explaining how she's been manipulating her way through Hollywood. And now, 2 years later, she's in court for doing exactly what she once bragged about.
I wanted to be a part of the storytelling, that I wanted to be a part of the narrative, whether that be in the writing, in the costume design, in creating the character. And sometimes I had directors or producers or writers who would welcome that and invite that once they saw that I was able to offer that. And sometimes I would have people who really resented that because they were like, we just hired you to be an actor.
Justin Baldoni's lawsuit alleges that Blake pretended to be just an actress on It Ends With Us, only to completely override his vision and push him out of his own project. What's worse, his production company had funded the film, secured the rights from Colleen Hoover, and spent years developing it. And as soon as Blake joined, she did what she admitted to in 2022. She hijacked the entire project.
For them, sometimes that might have felt like a rug pull because you're trying to assert yourself into something that we didn't hire you to do.
This isn't a one-off event. This is a recurring tactic Blake has been using for years. She starts with small creative suggestions and slowly builds up to taking full control until she's running the entire show.
I don't want to just be an actor. I want to have more authorship.
And for a long time, it worked. The directors who pushed back were either ignored, outplayed, or quietly removed. She had a formula: get cast, earn trust, become indispensable, and then take over. It never failed her, until now.
I don't think she even realizes what she's admitting. Sometimes they'd let me and sometimes they wouldn't. And then she goes further and says, I would just lie to them in the audition process and make them think I'm just an actress to do what they want.
Justin Baldoni wasn't like the big-name directors she had dealt with before. He wasn't a studio-backed powerhouse like Christopher Nolan. He was still building his career. And Blake saw that as an opportunity she could exploit.
Well, yeah, that's because that's what you did. You knowingly admitted that's what you do. They want an actress, they hire an actress, they pay you to be an actress, that's your job. But then you do exactly what Justin's accusing you of.
Justin Baldoni wasn't like the big-name directors she had dealt with before. He wasn't a studio-backed powerhouse like Christopher Nolan. He was still building his career, and Blake saw that as an opportunity she could exploit.
If Justin had just known this, if this clip had gone viral before to avoid this whole mess, I'm just the entitlement of her that she thinks this is okay and proudly displaying us. We're women, so we can just lie and cheat and steal our way in to control these big movies.
By the time It Ends With Us premiered, Blake had erased Baldoni entirely from the picture. The man who brought the film to life wasn't even allowed to attend the main event. While Blake soaked up the spotlight, Baldoni was literally kept in the basement, a final power play that made it crystal clear who was in charge.
Sounds like is that she's not interested in being a part of a team. She just wants to own it all. And that's fine. If that is your method of working, then do that. But you have to create your own projects. You have to put yourself in that position that you are in charge, not take it from somebody else.
In 2019, Justin Baldoni secured the rights to It Ends With Us, a story he was deeply connected to. His production company, Wayfarer Studios, began development by early 2022. He had a clear goal: to create a film that captured the book's emotional core and highlighted domestic abuse awareness. But that dream project quickly became unrecognizable.
And it's not enough. You don't even get to come to the premiere. You're not allowed in the premiere. Fine, but he goes in the basement when I show up. I mean, that's not authorship. That's not autonomy. That's control. That's selfishness. That's entitlement. This woman is a monster.
In April 2023, Blake Lively was cast as Lily Bloom. On paper, it looked like a major win. A-list actress meets popular book. But Blake didn't just sign on as an actress. She came in with a plan to take over.
Fully believe she saw Mark and she was stepping over him and knew he was easily manipulative. She would have full control of this movie. And I further believe, as in post, because of Justin's cut and a lot of stuff that happened, she realized they had a hit on their hands.
Sources claim that almost immediately after being cast, Blake began demanding rewrites. Not minor suggestions, but full-blown script overhauls. She insisted certain scenes didn't match her vision, but it soon became obvious this wasn't about collaboration. It was a power grab.
You admit to lying, which is clearly what as you watch the text, she's always asking permission. She's guilt-tripping Justin. Oh, directors don't let me, and blah, 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 blah. And then he's always like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
By mid-2023, her influence had grown past the script. Insiders say she started ignoring the director's decisions altogether. Baldoni had expected a creative partner, but instead, he was left watching from the sidelines. Blake reportedly used her Hollywood network to bring in her own team, editors and producers loyal to her version of the film.
It's what I've learned in Hollywood is that people never apologize, which for me would be the most natural thing to do, you know? You do something, you say something, and then you own up to it. And the best thing and the most rewarding thing in the world is to actually apologize to someone.
By late 2023, she was allegedly demanding final cut authority, a right usually reserved for directors or studios. Despite being the one who built the project, Baldoni was rapidly being pushed out. Even the studio was reportedly shocked by how much sway Blake had managed to accumulate.